Before I get started on this week's video, I just want to say thank you to my son Tyler who bought me this amazing hoodie. I love it. He's actually bought it from another YouTuber by the name of Real World Magic, so thank you Neil for actually creating this. And if you actually fancy one, there is a link to Real World Magic's YouTube channel and the link to buy one of these shirts in the comments below. Other than that, let's crack on with this week's video. No Retreat, No Surrender is a 1986 American martial arts film directed by Corey Yuen. The film tells the story of a young karate student who has to move from his home in California to Seattle. While he's in Seattle, he starts to get bullied, so he gets help from a fantastic martial arts, all while the reason why he had to move there in the first place is lurking in the background. When the film was released, it did get a lot of negative reviews. Basically because the story sounds a lot familiar to The Karate Kid. So what things have I found wrong with it? Well, let's discuss 10 things wrong with No Retreat, No Surrender. Number 10, overacting. I'm going to get the worst thing about this film over and done with, is the fact that the actors really overact. Now, I'm not an actor, but if I did have an actor, I would say my acting is flat, whereas they're OTT. In fact, you could stick William Shatner in this film and he'll be right at home. The overacting is awful and cheesy, and you can tend to find yourself laughing at this film rather than enjoying this film. Number 9, rip-off. I said it in the intro, the basic story is another telling of The Karate Kid that came out 2 years earlier. But it didn't. This film was actually filmed 2 years earlier, around about the same time Karate Kid came out. So you can understand where they got the idea for this film. But it also has elements of Rocky in there. An underdog going against a well-known champion to try and win in a match. That's Rocky. This film just rips off everything. It's not a good look for a film. Number 8, adults not listening. This segment seems to come up quite a lot in my videos where adults don't listen. And this film does it as well, badly. Jason gets into a fight, he comes home and his dad's having a go at him, even though the reason why he was in a fight was for a good reason. He was protecting his friend from the bullies, yet his dad doesn't want to know. As a parent, you need to listen to your children, but Hollywood films don't like doing that. And I keep repeating the same message that in films, parents don't listen to their children. Number 7, half a present. So Jason goes to a birthday party where it's his wannabe girlfriend or someone he's attracted to. I never got the gist of that part, but he does take a present. It's a box. She opens the box and takes out this bunny rabbit. Great, that's cute. Any boyfriend will get lots of brownie points for that. Except, what about the rest of it? What about the cage? What about the food? How are you going to take care of it? You didn't think of any of that. No, you just gave her the rabbit and say, off you go, sort it out. You need to get at least a cage. Come on. Number 6, flashbacks. For a film that's only an hour and a half long, there's a hell of a lot of flashbacks. Flashbacks that happened earlier in the film. I wouldn't normally complain, I probably would, but wouldn't put it in this video, except that some of these flashbacks literally on the next scene. For example, at the birthday party, he gets into a fight, he goes off in a huff, gets in a car, and it's flashbacks to the birthday party he just left. Did the filmmakers know that people weren't going to be interested in this film, that they have to repeat what happened a minute earlier? I said last week, I don't like being repeated to, especially 2 seconds later. Number 5, final match. So the bulk of the story is Jason coming to acceptance of moving in Seattle. So once that part's all over and done with, the film takes a swerve and, oh, we're in a match. Where did that match come from? It just like appeared out of nowhere. Now I know they had the subplot of the bad guys from New York moving into dojos to make them crime headquarters, but they went in and destroyed the dojos as shown in the beginning of this film. Why start a match? Why have this fight? It's just like, here is the match. There was no build up to that at all. At least with Rocky, the whole film was building up to the final fight between Rocky and Apollo. But this film, it just appeared out of nowhere. Number 4, Unused Backstory. Why does Scott hate RJ in this film? He has a deep hatred all the way through this film. But why? It's never explained. Now, apart from the fact I just thought it was because he was a jerk, but there wasn't. That's not the case. There's more to it. So RJ tripped Scott up in school on purpose. That's why Scott hates RJ. So you do get this thing, okay, maybe Scott's not as bad, especially as he's got the same name as me. Don't exactly like that. But still, that little scene could have added that little bit of depth, maybe take some of the cheesiness out of the film, makes, you know, a bit more in depth. But no, you cut that out, so you just made Scott look like a complete and utter jerk. Us Scots, we're not all jerks, I promise you that. Number 3, Bruce Lee's title. The whole basis of Jason is he's a huge Bruce Lee fan, huge. That's one thing he loved about going to Seattle, is he gets to visit Bruce Lee's grave. And it was a nice little moment. It's one of the few nice moments in this film that this film gets. So when Bruce Lee's ghost finally appears, he calls him Sensei, which is wrong. Sensei is a Japanese terminology for karate master or karate teacher. Bruce Lee comes from Hong Kong, which is now China. He would have been called Sifu. Sifu Lee. That's how he should have addressed him. Any fan of Bruce Lee would have known that, especially a fanatic like Jason. But you got that one wrong, and that's not something that's actually that forgivable. Number 2, hitting. So this film stars Jean-Claude Van Damme in one of his earliest big roles. I think it was his second, third, one of those two. But it's still a background pup, and he's still not the big star as he's known today. So when he's doing his fighting scenes, which you know he can do, he's actually hitting his co-stars. Not fake hitting, he's properly hitting his co-stars. Now the director and a lot of the other actors asked him to stop, but he wouldn't. He carried on doing it properly. So much so, he winded and hurt his co-stars. This was also brought up in a court case a few years later as well, which I won't go into now. But Jean-Claude Van Damme was actually hitting his co-stars. How did he get such a career when he was doing such a bad thing this early on? Number 1, who is Jean-Claude Van Damme actually playing? Now you may be thinking, well, what a stupid question. Everyone knows who Jean-Claude Van Damme's playing. It says it in the opening credits, which he does. I've put it in the Berry telly. He's playing Ivan the Russian. Great. Now later on during the match, he's actually introduced by the announcer as Ivan Kraschinsky. I think that's how you say it. So that goes along. So why am I bringing this up? Well, look at the end credits. You can see it, can you? Yes, Jean-Claude Van Damme plays Carl Bresden. Say what? I'm not making it up. If anyone has a copy of this film, put it on, go and look at the end credits, because Jean-Claude Van Damme is credited as a completely different character. No, did anyone ever notice this one? I did, but then again, I'm a nitpicking a-hole. Final thoughts. So this was a requested video. He has apologised for making me watch this film, but in all its cheesiness, in all its overactingness, in all the bad audio dubbing which was done on purpose, which is why I didn't bring that up in this list, it's a fun little film to watch actually. As long as you don't sit there and try and take this film seriously and just sit back and enjoy this film like it's meant to be, or the impression I get that this was just a laugh, then you can have some fun with it. I mean, it's not an epic, it's never going to be up there with like Gone with the Wind or Avatar or films like that, but it's a good fun film. It doesn't have the heart or soul like Karate Kid. Now I will say that is a better film at the two, but I think the guy knew that, so he's just gone in there and had fun, which comes across, and I actually did have fun watching it. There's not really much more I could say about this film. It's a bad film, but it's one of these films that is so bad it's good, which is a good thing really. So yeah, I kind of enjoyed this film. So what am I going to rank it? I'm still going to give it a bit of a low score because it is overly cheesy, but I'm not going to be so harsh. It's not going to be like 1 or 2. I'm actually going to give it a 6 out of 10. I do think that's quite a fair rating. It's an okay film, it's a fun film, it's just deliberately bad. Don't forget the director did go on to make Trainspotting a few years later, well, about 10 years later, which is an amazing film, so he can do it. But just back then, yeah, I just think he was having a laugh. But that's what I think of this film. What do you think? Do you enjoy this film, or do you really hate this film? Let me know in the comments below. Also, put your ratings out of 10 in the comments below. I'd love to read them. On to next week. Well, what am I doing next week? Well, I'm going to be doing a film about a Dark Knight that returns. Yes, I'm doing a cryptic clue, but if you want to know what film I'm on about, come back next Sunday. And if you want to get in touch with me, just search for @Berryman81 on Facebook, Twitter, and come and have a chat with me. I'm more than happy to have a talk with anyone, and I look forward to seeing you next Sunday. Take care, bye-bye.